जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
Honorable Chairman of the Legislative Council, Honorable Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, Honorable Chief Minister, esteemed members of the Council of Ministers, respected members of the Legislative Council and Legislative Assembly, and the hard-working and peace-loving people of Telangana. It is with immense pride and unwavering commitment that I stand before this esteemed House today. This budget session is a moment of reflection, reaffirmation, and a commitment to ensuring that every citizen of Telangana has the opportunity to dream, to grow, and to prosper. Telangana is not just progressing, it is transforming. The vision of an inclusive, self-reliant, and empowered Telangana is being realized with bold reforms, people-centric governance, and decisive leadership. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. These words of Mahatma Gandhi remind us that governance is not just about administration. It is about serving the people, transforming lives, and building a future of dignity, prosperity, and justice for all. My government has set an unwavering course of development, ensuring that the voices of farmers, youth, women, workers, and entrepreneurs shape policies and decisions. I am confident that in this budget session too, my government will strengthen the foundations for sustained growth, the pillars of social justice, and accelerate Telangana's journey towards a future of limitless possibilities. My government envisions a Telangana where inclusive development, innovation, and sustainable progress go hand in hand by embracing technological advancements, strengthening social welfare, and fostering economic opportunities for all. We are committed to shaping a future that is both prosperous and equitable for every citizen of our state. As we move forward, our vision for Telangana is one of shared growth, technological advancement, and equitable progress. A model state that stands as a beacon of development and prosperity. Honoring Telangana's identity and legacy. Telangana is not just a geographical entity. It is an emotion, a symbol of struggle, resilience, and unyielding determination. Our culture is deeply rooted in history and tradition, but our vision is forward-looking and progressive. Recognizing the contributions of Telangana's greatest voices, the government is planning to honor literary and cultural legends like Gaddar, Guda, Anjaya, Bandi, Yadadgiri, and others. This is not just a recognition of their talent, it is a tribute to the voices that echoed the aspirations of our people. The adoption of Jaya Jaya He Telangana Janani Jaya Ketanam as the state song is a celebration of the past. Song is a celebration of the past, present, and future of Telangana. The Telangana song not only honors the struggles and sacrifices that led to the formation of the state, but also instills hope and inspiration for the future. The song envisions a Telangana that is progressive, prosperous, and inclusive, reminding every citizen of their role in shaping a brighter tomorrow. It is a call to unity, resilience, and emotional and cultural bond among the people. The official adoption of the Telangana Talli statue further reinforces the state's unique identity and inclusive spirit. Unlike traditional representation, this statue is a reflection of every individual who belongs to Telangana, cutting across caste, class, and regional lines. It symbolizes self-respect, empowerment, and aspirations of a dynamic and forward-looking society. Placed at the heart of our public consciousness, it stands as a testament to Telangana's journey, achievements, and its limitless potential for the future. These efforts celebrate and uphold the rich cultural heritage of Telangana, fostering a deep connection with our traditions while embracing progress. This cultural revival not only strengthens our shared identity, but also unites our people in the spirit of collective growth and harmony. Agriculture, the foundation of Telangana's economy. Telangana's farmers are the soul of the state. Their sweat and toil feed our people, sustain our economy, and uphold our tradition. It is the government's moral duty to support, uplift, and empower them. Telangana has emerged as the highest paddy producer in the country, with a record of 260 lakh metric tons of production. This is a testament of the resilience and dedication of our farmers, and this government stands shoulder to shoulder with them. To ensure financial security, my government has implemented a rupees 2 lakh crop loan waiver, benefiting 25.35 lakh farmers, amounting to 20,616.89 crore. This is not assistance. It is a justice and a reflection of the time-bound implementation of the commitments of my government. Further, under the Raitu Bharosa scheme, direct financial assistance has been enhanced to rupees 12,000 per acre per year, allowing farmers to invest in modern techniques, better seeds, and improved irrigation. In an unprecedented move, the government has support to landless agricultural laborers under the Indira Atmiya Bharosa scheme, providing 12,000 per annum to families who work tirelessly in the fields. A total of 566 Raitu Vedikas have been established, equipped with state-of-the-art audiovisual media. The Raitu Nestam initiative is now fully operational in all 532 rural mandals, providing a dynamic platform for farmers, scientists, and administrators to engage in structured video conferencing. This initiative facilitates seamless knowledge sharing, fosters collaboration, and significantly contributes to agricultural advancement and rural empowerment. A bonus of rupees 500 per quintal for Sanakaram paddy, amounting to 1,206.44 crore, has been released to farmers to ensure fair pricing and income security for farmers who produce the varieties of paddy that our people consume. As a major step towards centering the agricultural sector, my government has established the Telangana Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Commission. This commission will serve as a dedicated body to address farmer concerns, develop sustainable policies, and ensure that Telangana's agricultural sector remains resilient and future ready. By integrating scientific research, modern technology, and farmer-centric initiatives, this commission will play a pivotal role in securing long-term prosperity for our farmers. Through persistent and strategic efforts, my government has effectively presented its stance before the Krishna Water Tribunal to ensuring the protection of Telangana's rightful share of Krishna River water. My government's decisive action underscores our commitment to safeguarding the state's interest and securing its water resources for future generations. My government's unwavering commitment to agriculture will continue through sustained investments in irrigation, scientific advancements, and market linkages, ensuring that Telangana's farmers not only survive but thrive. Empowering women, the strength of Telangana. No society can claim progress unless its women are empowered, protected, and given equal opportunities. Telangana recognizes the transformative power of women, and my government is committed to breaking barriers and unlocking new opportunities. The Mahalakshmi scheme has been a game changer, providing 149.63 crore free bus trips for women, saving them 5005.95 crore in travel costs. This initiative is not just about mobility. It is about freedom, dignity, and financial empowerment. Through the recently approved Indira Mahila Shakti Mission policy, the government is creating 1 crore women entrepreneurs with 1 lakh crore financial assistance target. Women-led self-help groups, SSGs, have been entrusted with managing Mahila Shakti canteens, school uniform production, and skill training programs. Additionally, my government is implementing measures like the Gruha Jyoti scheme, providing free electricity for families, consuming up to 200 units, benefiting 50 lakh poor families. Further, government has subsidized LPG cylinders with rupees 500, benefiting 43 lakh families, and 433.2 crore subsidy has been given under the scheme to ease the financial burden of poor households. In a landmark initiative, Telangana has allocated 1,000 megawatt solar power project exclusively for women-led SSGs, making them key players in the renewable energy sector. Women are not just beneficiaries of development, they are the drivers of progress. Telangana is leading by example, ensuring that every woman has access to education, employment, financial security, personal freedom. I commend wholeheartedly the efforts of my government on women empowerment. Youth empowerment, my government is dedicated to empowering the youth through the establishment of Young India Skill University. By fostering innovation and providing top-tier training via advanced technology, ATCS, we are equipping young talent with globally competitive skills. This initiative highlights our commitment to building a skilled workforce that will drive the state's progress and prosperity. To support and encourage aspirants of civil service examinations, the state government has introduced the Rajiv Gandhi Civil Abhaya Hastam scheme. This initiative ensures that financial constraints do not hinder deserving candidates from pursuing higher education. Under this scheme, each civil services aspirant receives financial assistance of rupees 1 lakh, empowering them to achieve their ambitions and contribute to the nation's governance. Revitalizing employment opportunities for the youth remains a key priority of the government of Telangana. Over the past year, more than 55,000 young men and women have secured government jobs through a transparent and merit-based recruitment process. Unprecedented achievement. My government will continue to work with the Telangana Public Service Commission to fulfill this commitment to fair, expeditious, and efficient recruitment practices. The Telangana government is committed to elevating the state's status as a global leader in sports, to nurture world-class athletes. A bill has been passed to establish the Young India Physical Education and Sports University. Additionally, a comprehensive sports policy is being introduced to develop a sustainable sports ecosystem, ensuring holistic support for athletes at all levels. Government has successfully conducted CM's Cup 2024 to recognize talent from grassroots to state level. The events covered 36 disciplines and saw the participation of 2.96 lakh athletes, including 2,980 para-athletes. Government also successfully organized several international and national tournaments in football, hockey, basketball and chess in the last 1 year, many of them for the first time ever in decades. Transforming education for an empowered Telangana. The government of Telangana remains steadfast in its commitment to education, prioritizing the well-being of marginalized communities. To support students in government hostels, diet charges have been increased by 40%, cosmetic charges by 200%, and the menu charges have been substantially raised to ensure nutritious meals. These measures aim to enhance students' health, their nutrition and academic success, fostering an environment where underprivileged youth can thrive. Promoting inclusive education is a key priority of my government. The launch of the integrated residential school scheme ensures that SC, ST, BC and minority students receive fully residential high-quality education. This initiative is designed to cultivate academic excellence and holistic development, offering equal opportunities for all. These programs reflect my government's deep commitment to social welfare and economic support for every citizen. Further strengthening our education system, my government has established the Telangana Education Commission. This commission will act as a guiding force in shaping policies that enhance quality education, skill development and research opportunities across the state. By fostering innovation and ensuring equitable access to educational resources, the Telangana Education Commission will play a transformative role in empowering future generations and driving the state's progress. In a visionary step towards enhancing public education, my government has launched the Amma Adarsha Pathshala initiative. This groundbreaking program harnesses the potential of women's self-help groups to play a crucial role in executing, monitoring and maintaining school infrastructure. These groups are working tirelessly to strengthen school facilities, constructing toilets for girls, ensuring clean drinking water and maintaining sanitation in school premises. Additionally, they facilitate the delivery of key student entitlements, including midday meals and stitched uniforms, ensuring dignity and well-being for every child. This initiative is not just about infrastructure, it is about community-led transformation in education, empowering women and creating a safe, inclusive and enriching learning for the environment of all students in Telangana. My government believes that healthcare is not a privilege. My government believes that healthcare is not a privilege, it is a fundamental right. This government is committed to ensuring that no citizen is denied access to quality medical care regardless of their financial status. The coverage under Arogyasri scheme has been significantly expanded from rupees 5 lakhs to covering 10 lakh per family, providing comprehensive tertiary medical care to the people of Telangana. 163 new medical procedures have been added under Arogyasri, addressing crucial illnesses, surgeries and specialized treatments, ensuring that no citizen has to bear the burden of expensive medical bills alone. Investment in modern healthcare infrastructure has brought hospitals closer to people. Even in remote areas, this government vision is clear: a Telangana where every individual, regardless of economic background, receives timely and affordable health care. Social justice is not an afterthought. It is the foundation of Telangana development model. My government believes in the principle of equity, dignity and inclusion, ensuring that every citizen has equal access to opportunity and prosperity. My government has embarked on a bold and transformative journey by conducting a comprehensive socio-economic, education, employment, political and caste survey across the state. This groundbreaking initiative is a crucial step towards building an equitable and inclusive society. By generating precise data that will shape policies tailored to uplift marginalized communities, this extensive data gathering exercise has created a robust foundation for evidence-based policy making, enforcing our commitment to equity, transparency and governance, driven by accurate insights. It underscores the government's unwavering commitment to eliminating political disparities, fostering social and political mobility, and ensuring holistic development for every citizen. A society can only progress when governance is rooted in accurate data and an objective understanding of social realities. The survey has been conducted with utmost transparency, scientific methodology, and rigorous verification processes to ensure every community is fairly represented. In a landmark move towards social justice, the government of Telangana has proposed a bill to provide legislative backing for 42% reservation for backward classes, BCs, based on finding of this recently conducted survey. This proposal aims to correct historical underrepresentation by ensuring fair access to education, employment, and governance of BC communities. The initiative stands as a testament to the government's commitment to equity and inclusive growth, ensuring that policies are shaped by real demographic data. Additionally, the government is set to introduce a bill for the subcategorization of scheduled castes based on the recommendations of the Justice Shamim Akhtar Commission. This proposed legislation aims to ensure a more just and balanced distribution of reservation benefits among SC communities, prioritizing the most marginalized sections. By addressing internal disparities within SC reservations, this initiative reforms Telangana's leadership in progressive policy making and its dedication to uplifting the most disadvantaged groups. Recognizing the enduring importance of justice, the social and social equity, the government has also declared February 4th, the day on which this August House has discussed and resolved on the above two initiatives as Telangana Social Justice Day. This annual observance is a testament to the state's firm resolve to uphold inclusivity, fairness, and equal opportunities for all. It serves as a reminder of our collective duty to work towards a future where every citizen, irrespective of background, has access to growth, dignity, and prosperity. Special initiatives like the Katamaya Rakshana Kavacham for toddy tappers and Telangana Chanetha Abhaya Hastam for handloom workers have been strengthened, ensuring that traditional labor communities receive the recognition and security they deserve. My government is implementing landmark policies for SC/ST and minority communities, providing financial aid for housing, education, employment, and social security. Telangana's vision is a future where prosperity is shared, opportunities are equal, and no community is left behind. Telangana is emerging as a leading destination for industrial growth and service sector expansion, driven by a business-friendly environment and progressive policies. The government is committed to strengthening infrastructure, streamlining regulatory processes, and fostering innovation to attract global investments. Special focus is being placed on micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, by providing tailored support, access to advanced technology, and financial assistance. Additionally, dedicated industrial parks are being established for pharmaceuticals, electronics, IT, renewable energy, and food processing, ensuring robust sectoral development. The World Economic Forum participation at Davos has reinforced Telangana's position as a key investment hub, with significant commitments from international players, further boosting and the economic prosperity. The Telangana Rising delegation led by our Chief Minister Revans Reddy concluded by securing 1,78,950 crore in investment and generating 49,500 jobs. Key sectors like data centers, green energy, food processing, electric vehicles and defense manufacturing saw major investments and resonated strongly with global investors. This initiative has clearly demonstrated that Telangana means business. Recognizing the vital role of MSMEs in economic growth and employment generation, the government of Telangana is committed to fostering a strong ecosystem for small businesses. Tailored financial assistance, technology upgrades, and market linkages are being provided to ensure their sustainable growth. A new MSME policy has been unveiled to support entrepreneurs, enhance competitiveness, and facilitate access to domestic and international markets. Telangana continues to lead the country in IT and electronics, innovation driven by world-class infrastructure and a dynamic workforce. The state is expanding IT hubs beyond Hyderabad, ensuring balanced regional growth. Dedicated IT parks are being developed to attract global players, with Hyderabad cementing its status as the AI and data center capital of India. To strengthen the textile industry and uplift powerloom workers, the government has established a 50 crore yarn depot in Vemulavada, Ranjana Sirsila district, furthering its commitment to women's empowerment. The Indira Mahila Shakti scheme provides 2 saris annually to 64.70 lakh women registered in self-help groups, enhancing their economic independence and dignity. Telangana, with its rich cultural heritage, diverse landscapes and historic landmarks, has immense potential to emerge as a premier tourism destination. Recognizing this, my government has formulated the first ever Telangana tourism promotion policy, aimed at enhancing infrastructure, developing unexplored tourist circuits, and promoting ecotourism, heritage tourism, and adventure tourism. This policy will provide a structured roadmap to attract both domestic and international tourists, creating new economic opportunities and generating employment in the sector. Under this initiative, my government will focus on revitalizing historic monuments, improving tourist amenities, and leveraging digital innovations to enhance visitor experiences. Special emphasis will be placed on developing temple tourism, tribal tourism, wellness tourism, offering visitors a unique blend of spirituality, history, and natural beauty. By partnering with private stakeholders and encouraging community-led tourism initiatives, we will ensure that Telangana becomes a vibrant and sustainable tourism hub that benefits both visitors and local community. Telangana is committed to leading in sustainable energy, ensuring a greener, self-sufficient future. The Clean and Green Energy Policy 2025, announced by my government, sets a roadmap for expanding solar, wind, and energy storage over the next decade, prioritizing energy security, affordability, and sustainability. With abundant solar and wind energy potential, Telangana is making strategic investments in renewables, pumped storage, hydropower, and green hydrogen to meet future energy demands. The state is also working to establish 6,000 EV charging stations by 2029-30 to support clean mobility. This policy will enhance energy security, attract investments, and generate jobs, positioning Telangana as a national leader in clean energy and climate action. In a landmark move to streamline land administration and ensure land security for all citizens, my government has introduced the Bhu Bharati Act. This transformative legislation is designed to mitigate land disputes, enhance transparency in land records, and protect rightful ownership. By leveraging modern technology and digital mapping, the Act will provide a robust legal framework to secure land rights and facilitate hassle-free transactions. In addition to land reform, my government has drawn up plans to reinstate the village revenue system, restoring the role of revenue officers at the grassroots level. This move strengthens rural governance simplifies land-related services, and ensures timely resolution of land issues, reinforcing Telangana's commitment to accountable, inclusive, and citizen-centric governance. The Telangana Police Department remains committed to public safety, crime prevention, and modernization. As a part of this vision, the Honorable Chief Minister has laid the foundation stone for the Young India Police School in Rangareddy district, a world-class institution dedicated to providing quality education to the children of police personnel, fostering academic and professional growth. Recognizing the need for an efficient disaster response mechanism, my government has constituted the State Disaster Response Force, SDRF, by deploying 1,000 personnel from the Telangana Fire Department and 1,000 personnel from the Telangana Special Police Battalions. This specialized force ensures rapid and effective emergency response to safeguard lives and property during natural and man-made disasters. In a significant step towards proactive disaster management, the state government has signed an MOU with the National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, to implement the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. This initiative focuses on minimizing disaster risk through preparedness, mitigation, and enhanced resilience, building measures to protect communities across Telangana. Telangana stands at the cusp of a transformative era, driven by a vision of inclusive growth, technological leadership, and sustainable government. My government is committed to fostering innovation, strengthening infrastructure, and empowering every citizen. The expansion of metro rail networks, the ambitious Musi River Rejuvenation Project, and the development of future city are set to redefine urban living and economic potential. My government is planning to establish Future City Development Authority to actively promote and plan development of a world-class city that is not only sustainable but aspires to emerge as the net zero city in India. The future city marks a transformative step in Telangana's urban and industrial growth, spanning 765 square kilometers across 56 villages in 7 mandals. Strategically located between Srisailam and Nagarjuna Sagar highways, this ambitious project integrates smart urban infrastructure, sustainable industrial development, and inclusive residential planning. Anchored by an AI city, pharma and manufacturing clusters, along with multimodal mobility and metro access, the future city is designed to boost economic activity, create employment opportunities, and enhance quality of life. The Future City Development Authority will ensure seamless execution, making this initiative a model for next-generation urban development in India. By attracting global investments and establishing Telangana as a leader in renewable energy, artificial intelligence, and high-tech industries, we are paving the way for a future that balances progress with sustainability. The state's commitment to clean and green energy, coupled with strategic initiatives like the AI city and enhanced digital infrastructure, will ensure that Telangana emerges as a beacon of modernity and opportunity. As we move forward, our unwavering dedication to democracy, federalism, inclusive governance will be the cornerstone of a thriving Telangana, one that upholds the aspirations of its people and sets an example for the nation. Telangana stands at the threshold of an extraordinary transformation. The budget is not just about financial allocation. It is about shaping a stronger, more resilient Telangana. It is a roadmap for progress, a commitment to justice, and a promise to every citizen that their aspirations matter. The budget is not merely a set of numbers, but a reflection of the government's priorities and vision for the future. It is the financial blueprint. It is the financial blueprint that shapes our policies, programs, and welfare initiatives. Therefore, it is imperative that all members of the legislature participate in budget discussions with keen interest unwavering attention. After all, as the saying goes, a well-debated budget today, after all, as the saying goes, a well-debated budget today prevents financial headaches tomorrow. While the numbers may seem daunting at times, let us remember that behind every allocation lies the aspirations of our people. Let us approach the budget session with diligence and focus. The government of Telangana resolve, led by the young and dynamic Chief Minister Hemant Reddy, is unshakable. Every policy, every initiative, and every reform in this is aimed at creating opportunities, empowering people, and driving inclusive growth. The vision is clear, the direction is set, and the momentum is unstoppable. The Telangana of today is a state of possibilities, of growth, of empowerment. The Telangana of tomorrow will be even greater, a state that leads in economic development, agricultural strength, technological innovation, social justice, and human dignity. As Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam said, dream, dream, dream. Dreams transform into thoughts, and thoughts result in action. This government believes in the dreams of its people, and through vision, determination, and action, we are turning these dreams into reality. Let us march forward together with unity, confidence, and unwavering commitment to build a Telangana that is a beacon of prosperity, equality, and progress. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Jai Telangana.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Finding the right linen shirt with matching chinos, a leather strap watch, takes so much effort. But Amazon Pay is totally effortless.
इस त्योहार Amazon पर मिले wear it with suggestions on top fashion brands ताकि fashion हो effortless.
Amazon, हर पल fashionable.
This is Blender, open source 3D software that can be used to make animations, visual effects, game assets, or practically anything 3D. And best of all, it's 100% free and it always will be. If you've never used it before but you want to learn it, well, then you're in the right place. This is a tutorial for complete beginners. I've been using Blender for 20 years, so I'm going to show you how to use all of its core features. And by the end, you'll finish with not only the confidence to start your own projects, but with your very own donut animation. And I know this looks complex, but I promise you it's achievable for a complete beginner. And I say that with confidence because many already have. This is actually the 4th version of this tutorial. I made the first donut tutorial back in 2016, and I've been remaking it every few years to keep up with Blender's development. In that time, millions of people, just like yourself, had gone from having never used 3D to successfully making their own donuts. One artist even snuck his into a little film called Everything Everywhere All at Once. Very clever. So if you're ready to take your first steps in 3D, hit the subscribe button and let's begin. First, go to blender.org/download or just click the link in the description. Then, obviously, you got to hit the big download button. Once downloaded on Windows, double click it and then just go through the install steps. But if you're on a Mac, just drag it into the applications folder. Then just find the Blender shortcut and open it. Then once it's open, just click anywhere off the splash screen to close it, and welcome to the wonderful world of 3D. First tip, do not get overwhelmed. If you go clicking around, you might find lots of buttons and some of them with very scary names, and it can all get very overwhelming very quickly. The thing you need to know is Blender can do a lot of things, which means it has a lot of tools, but you don't need to know every tool in order to do what you want to do. If you're familiar with the 80-20 rule, there's really only 20% of Blender's features that you end up using 80% of the time. And that's what I'm planning to teach you in this tutorial series. So stay with me and you should be fine. We'll start making the donut in the next video. In this one, we're just going to look at the interface and I'm going to show you some of the basic navigation. So for starters, this view, this window right here is your 3D viewport, and it's where you'll spend probably 90% of your time because it is the 3D world. So you can see that we have three objects here. We've got a camera, we've got a cube, and we've got a lamp. And when we click on it, you can see it's selected because it has the yellow outline. So let's delete the default cube, of course, and replace it with something else. So we could do that by going up to the Add menu up here, or by remembering the hotkey, which is Shift A. So Shift A for Add. So usually the one you're looking for is underneath Mesh. So these are called your primitives, and it's what you use to start something when you're looking to make an object. Like if you're going to make a chair, you might start with a cylinder as the chair leg and then build out from there. But the one I'm sure you're all very curious, you want to click it, it's the monkey. So let's just click the monkey. Why does Blender have a monkey? Well, fun fact, every 3D software has its own little random complex object because it's useful to test things like shaders or complexities of scenes. So 3ds Max has the Utah teapot, Houdini has the toy, and I think pig's head. Blender has the monkey, and it's actually called the Suzanne monkey head, which you can see in the top left there, named after the orangutan from the film Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. Random piece of trivia. So let's get a better look at it. And to that we need to orbit, which you can do by on your mouse there, your scroll wheel, that is called your middle mouse button. If you push that in and then drag around, that is now orbiting. Now, for my laptop users, you've just panicked because you realize you don't have a mouse. How are you going to orbit around? First of all, probably a good idea to get a mouse for 3D work. It will come in handy. But in a pinch, you can get by without it just by up here in the top right-hand corner, this little gray circle, anywhere in the gray section. If you just left-click, drag on that, that will do the exact same thing. Or if you want, you can go to Edit Preferences, and then underneath Input, there's Emulate 3-button mouse. And that means that if you hold down Alt and then left-click drag, that will do the exact same thing. Also, whilst you are in user preferences, you might want to go to interface and you've got resolution scale. If you're on a 4K monitor, you might find that your menus and buttons are really small and you kind of have to like squint in to see it. So personally, I like to keep my 4K monitor around about 1.5, but since this is a tutorial, I'll make it nice and big so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's orbiting around with the middle mouse button. If we want to zoom in, we can do that just by scrolling in and out. We could also do it by going up to the magnifying glass tool there and then just left click dragging and then moving the mouse back and forth. That does the same thing. Or you could hold down Control and then middle mouse button, and that will do a smooth zoom as well. Okay, so one thing you might notice looking at this is that it's not very pretty, right? It's just kind of got this flat, bland, gray lighting over everything. And that's because this state right now is called viewport shading. And it's kind of a lightweight, optimized way to view the scene just as you're building it. But if you want to create a final pretty image, that's called rendering. And you can actually switch into rendered mode by going up here into the top right-hand corner. You can see we're currently in the viewport shading mode. If we go 2 across, you should see rendered view mode. So if we click that, your computer might stall for a quick second whilst it loads it in, but you can see it's now different. We have directional light. We have shadow cast across the monkey. So it's now currently being lit by this lamp up here. So if I wanted to, zoom in on that lamp there and just kind of like move it around, you can see it's kind of hard to focus on. Like it's always exactly not in the right view. And that's because we are centered on our monkey right now. We need to change the focus. We need to pan to something else. So we could do that one of two ways. One, if you're on a laptop, you could use the little move tool there. That will do that. Or everyone else, shift, middle mouse click, drag, that will do the same thing. So middle mouse is for orbiting, shift middle mouse is for pan to change your view to something else. Okay, so I want to move my light because it's too moody. I want to be able to see the monkey's face there. So to move an object, you could do it one of two ways. One, you could go over to the left-hand corner here and you've got the move tool. When you click that, you can see that the selected object, the lamp, has this gizmo, it's called, with these axes on it. And if I just clicked and dragged on any of those arrows there, you can see I can move it along any of those axes. I could also just click on that white circle there, and that will just freehand drag it depending on my view. But it's kind of tedious. Every time you want to move something, you have to like go to that tool and then find the arrows and yada yada. So actually most people in Blender prefer to use the hotkeys. So we just keep it in the default selection state here, and instead remember the hotkey, which is G for grab. Now I've just tapped the key and you'll notice as I move my cursor that it's now attached to my cursor. My cursor isn't even actually close to it. In fact, my cursor could be on the other side of the screen and I could tap G and it will move it. And at first this is kind of awkward. You're like, why is it working this way? But once you get used to it, you realize it's actually handy because you don't have to spend all this time like navigating your cursor to something just so that you can move it. Your cursor could be over here and then just tap it and you're moving it. So whilst you're in this move state, if you want to cancel a movement, you could do it one of two ways. You could just hit escape, or you could right click. Then if you want to confirm a movement, like say I want to move my lamp here and I like the movement, I could just do a single left click. So again, if I want to cancel something, just right click. If I want to confirm the movement, left click. But let's say I wanted to move it along an axis, like, I like these arrows here and I want to be able to move it on just a specific axis. Well, I can do that whilst I'm in that grab state as well. So after I've hit the G key to grab it, I can then tap the letter of the axis that I want to move it on. So if you don't know, in the real world and in the 3D software, there are 3 axes because there's 3 dimensions. There's the X axis, which I can move it by hitting the X key, the Y axis to move it back and forth along the Y axis with the Y key, or the Z axis to move it up and down on the Z axis. So you can remember those letters, the X, Y, and Z, or the method that I actually prefer to use is whilst you're in that G state, if you just hold down the middle mouse button and then pull out, you can see you get this like gray line that pulls out from the center. And then if you just drag out and move around, it will snap it to the nearest axis, which again is maybe an odd way to work, but it's actually really handy because it means you don't have to think of the letter and locate it on your keyboard. I can just tap G to move it and then middle mouse drag out and then just find that exact axis that I'm looking for. And so it's very fast to just quickly move the lamp exactly where I want it. By the way, if you're finding it hard to remember all of the keyboard shortcuts that I've mentioned, I've actually put together a PDF, a cheat sheet of Blender's most common hotkeys, and you can download that by clicking the link in the description, so you could print it out or you could just have it on a separate monitor while you work. Also, if you are from another 3D software package, you might notice that Blender's hotkeys are different than what you are used to. So if you actually go to Preferences, just for those people that are from other softwares, if you change the key map to industry compatible, you'll find that these shortcuts are probably more in line with what you remember from other software. I'll also put a link to a cheat sheet that is just for the industry compatible key maps that somebody else put together. I've got nothing to do with it, but I'll put that link there so you can check it out as well.
छोटी छोटी जीत सेलिब्रेट कर प्यारे, ऐसे हर पल को तू फील कर प्यारे, ओ रानी के साथ मिले कवर तो भी जीत है, कवर को मिली अपनी लवर तो भी जीत है, मजा 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 हो जाए।
हर छोटी जीत के लिए असली अल्फोंसो और रसीले आम से बना माजा हो जाए।
विंटर्स मध्ये हेल्दी लुकिंग स्किन साठी आय ट्रस्ट ओनली निव्या बॉडी मिल्क, ज्याचं युनिक डीप मॉइश्चर सिरम देतं 48 तास लॉंग लास्टिंग मॉइश्चरायझेशन. निव्या बॉडी मिल्क 5 in 1 आता 85 रुपयांमध्ये.
For the rest of this tutorial series, I'm going to use Blender's hotkeys. Just keep that in mind. Now let's say, as I am moving around here, I'm like, oh, this looks really good. I've got some nice Rembrandt lighting across the monkey's face. I want to take a photo. I want to take a nice, pretty image of this and post it on socials for clout, right? Well, I could take a screenshot of it, but that would be silly because it's got all these lines all over. It's all noisy, right? We don't like it. The way you take a photo, a pretty image in Blender, is to do a render. So you could do that one of two ways, by going up to render and hitting render image, or remembering the hotkey, which says next to it F12. So when you do that, a little window will pop up. It will use your CPU or GPU, depending on which renderer you've got active, and it will render out a pretty image. And from here, you could go image and then save as, and that'll save it as a PNG or whatever, wherever you want to save it. But you might notice looking at this that this is actually a different view than what we have here, right? So here I've got a nice view of the monkey's face, but up there is a different view. And the reason for that is when you do a render, it's not rendering from the view that you're looking at currently. It's always going to render from the point of view of the camera. So this is our camera over here, and it's looking from this angle. And we can actually look through the camera by just clicking the little camera icon there, or by remembering the hotkey, which is number pad 0. So how do we move the camera? Well, Blender's a little awkward, maybe a little different to other software packages, but you're supposed to like hit G to move it, and then like middle mouse to zoom in and out. And then if you want to like move it along an axis, I guess G and then X. You could do that, but actually what a lot of users prefer, especially those from other software packages, is if you've got your camera selected, which by the way, I haven't mentioned this, but up here, this is your outliner. It's kind of an inventory of every item that you've got in your scene. Okay, so with the camera there selected, if I hit N is to bring up the properties, N for properties for whatever reason, and then go to view. There's a little box there that just says lock to camera to view. So now with that active, if I just use the same keyboard shortcuts as before, middle mouse button to orbit around, shift middle mouse to drag it, you can see that the camera is moving with it. So essentially the view, I can set it up exactly as I want, then hit N again, and then I can disable that. And then now as I pull out, you can see that the camera will stay exactly where it was, and I could do a lovely, pretty render. But this is too simple. If we post this on the internet, people are bound to make fun of us. Imagine that. Well, we could give it some color, right? So with our monkey head selected, we can go over to here to the properties. So this properties section is where you might spend the other, I don't know, another 5 to 8%, I don't know, getting too exact there. You might spend another 5% of your time in this section, but it's where all of the properties for things are in Blender. So for example, you've got like the render properties, like the size of the image that you're saving something as is defined there. And some of these properties will stay here no matter what is selected, but others are selection dependent. So you can see actually, if I click the camera there, you can see I get a little camera tab at the bottom there. But if I select my monkey, you'll see the camera tab disappears, but instead I have some other ones that appear. So one that we might want to change is underneath material, and this will enable us to add a material, change the color to something else, essentially. So underneath here where it's got new, I'm just gonna hit new. And then you've got a bunch of options, very confusing. Ooh, IOR, subsurface. Again, don't worry about it. We'll get to all of that later on. The one that defines the color is the base color. So if I do a single left click on that white box there, I can then change this color to whatever I want. I could make it an odd, creepy, skin-toned monkey head, right? Like that. And do a render. Okay, so hey, all right, it's better, but still it's too simple. I think people will think we haven't put enough effort into this masterpiece. So let's add another object. Let's give the monkey a hat. So if we want to add another object, how do we do it? Well, we could go to the add menu, like I mentioned before, or the hotkey Shift A. So what sort of hat do we want to add? We could do a boxy hat. Let's do a party hat with a cone. So once we've added that object, you can see it's just plopped it straight in the center, intersecting our monkey. So we need to move it. We can move it, and we could grab it with the G key. So it's now moving it just on our cursor there. I don't want to move it just freehand though, because I like the position, but I just want to move it up. So I'm going to hit Z to move it along the Z axis. Right, I like it there. So once I like the placement, I'm just going to do a single left click. Okay, great. But too big. See, we need to learn another tool, which is scale. So we could go to the scale tool there, and then we get this familiar little axes there. But again, most people prefer to remember the hotkey, which for scale is just S. So S to scale. So resizing that. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's move it down again. So G and Z. Okay. All right. But yeah, let's say we want to make it a little taller. Okay. So we could scale it along just the Z axis. So S and then Z. Whoops. S, Z. There we go. And it's now making it a tall party hat. Scale it down. There we go. Ha! Look at that. Be a very bland party if it's gray though. So let's give it another material. An exciting color, a vibrant aqua color. Why not? Give that a render by hitting F12. Okay, camera is in the wrong position, so let's go to camera view mode with number pad 0. I'm gonna select my camera, and rather than dabbling with that little thing I had before, I'm gonna hit G, and then middle mouse, just tap it once. As I said, it's a little awkward, Blender's the way it handles with the camera, but anyway, just move that out, and then I gotta rotate it. All right, so I'm gonna rotate. So with the camera selected, tap R, then middle mouse, and it's now kind of like freehand rotating around. So I'll just move it up slightly. There we go. Okay, this is just a fool around session. So don't worry if you're making mistakes. We'll get to actual practical building stuff in the next part. I'm just trying to find ways to throw in these like fundamental tools. Rotate, right? The monkey's head is just, he needs to look dead on at the camera, and currently he's off. What an excuse to use the rotate tool. So you could enable the rotate tool, right? The familiar axes there. You could click and rotate it around like that. Again, most people prefer to remember the hotkey, which is R to rotate, right? So it's now just freehand rotating on my cursor. Remember the axes, as I mentioned before, can be used for any mode. So the X axis will rotate it back and forth. The Y axis, tilt it, or Z, there we go, to turn it towards the camera. Just a little bit, right? And there you go, F12. And we've done it. Let's save it. Let's upload it to ArtStation, and then just wait for the recruiters, essentially. All right, let's start a new scene so that we can get ready for part 2, where we're going to actually start building our donut and learning some of the more core features of Blender. So click here and I will see you in part 2.
मेरे पापा हमेशा कहते थे, तेरे नाम के आगे ना डॉक्टर बड़ा अच्छा लगेगा। करियर को लेके मैं हमेशा से बहुत पैशनेट थी। आई लॉस्ट पापा इन कोविड सबके लिए बहुत ही मुश्किल समय था। मेरा बेटा सिर्फ 6 महीने का था जब मैंने डिसाइड किया कि मुझे डॉक्टरेट कंप्लीट करनी है। बीइंग फर्स्ट टाइम पेरेंट्स बहुत मुश्किल था। वो गिल्ट कॉन्स्टेंटली चलता था, पर वो पैशन भी था अचीव करने का। जब मैं स्टेज पे गई, आई वॉज गिवन दैट डॉक्टरेट डिग्री बाय ऑनरेबल जज ऑफ द दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट, and I felt so proud, and my little son calling me Dr. Mamma, that was the best feeling. My papa must be so proud of me today.
अपनों से मिली सीख और कल की प्लानिंग ही हमारे फ्यूचर को आकार देती है। HDFC लाइफ, सर उठा के जियो।
Now we know how Blender functions, let's start building that donut. So, as before, let's, well, first of all, just to repeat, make sure you are working with a new scene. Completely new scene, don't want any remaining monkey heads lying around. Let's begin fresh slate, and let's delete our default cube just with the delete key, and let's replace it with a new object. You might remember the hotkey for that is Shift A. And as I mentioned before, you usually want what is underneath mesh because these are your primitives. So we want to start with something that most resembles what it is we're building. You know, if it was a house, you might start with a cube. If it was a vase, you might start with a cylinder. In our case, we want the donut-shaped one, although mathematicians call it a torus for some reason. So let's add that. Now, if I zoom in by scrolling up, we can see we have something resembling a donut. Looks like a pretty weak looking donut, you know, very flimsy. Looks like the donut before it's cooked when they just drop it into the vat and it's just this little wispy thing. So immediately after you do some actions in Blender, you have options to change it. And the options are hidden down here in the bottom left-hand corner. You see a little box, and if you click that box, you see options. And look, we can change the dimensions of our torus. Now, something to note is that these options in Blender only appear immediately after you have done that action. If you do another action, like say deselect your torus by mistake, it's gone, right? Because Blender has assumed you have moved on. You've accepted the state of your donut, and this is the one you want, right? Now, if you haven't done anything drastic or changed this object in some severe way, you can temporarily bring it back by hitting F9. I never actually remember that hotkey. I just remember that immediately after I have added an object, if I want to tweak it, now's my chance before I move on to something else. Okay, so we could change, the size of it here. We can also change the resolution. I'll use the term resolution loosely. To make it higher or lower fidelity. And a mistake that a lot of beginners make, and I say this because this was the exact mistake I made way back in 2003 when I started learning Blender, is they go, well, I need a realistic looking donut, so I guess I need to go really high resolution. I remember my first project, one of my first projects was for a high school film project, and I wanted to have a close-up of a face. Didn't realize faces were going to be difficult, but I went really high poly, and then it was just an absolute nightmare to work with. So the reason you don't want this is that, for starters, things that are high poly are very slow to render, and they're very hard to work with if you want to tweak the shape of it. But also, as you learn and you grow with 3D, you'll discover that it is a lot easier to add resolution to something later on, but it is very difficult to take it away if you've already built it into it and you don't need it. So, long way to say, what we actually want is to have as few polys, these are called polys, as you can get away with. So I'm going to go with 32 major and 12 minor. And don't worry that it looks all jagged, because we will fix that in a moment. Now, the major and minor, this is really up to you, but I find that something that looks kind of chunky, like a fat donut, just looks really delicious. So I'm going with something around about this size, okay? And once I'm happy with this, once I'm ready to click off, I click off, the options are gone, and this is it. This is the donut that I am now working with. So how do we make this look higher resolution, less jagged? Well, one way is to use smooth shading. So if you right click with your object selected, go to Shade Smooth. And look at that, this is immediately better. Without getting too technical, this is kind of a fakery. It's sort of like the shader is telling the renderer that this is a really high poly dense mesh when it really isn't. It's just basically kind of like averaging out faces, and anyway, it's very technical, but basically means it's not going to add anything to your render time, but it's going to look smoother. And so this is generally what you want for something that is smooth and organic looking, like we want. If you were rendering like architectural or like hard surfaces, like later on we're going to put this on a counter, then the object would obviously want to be flat. But in our case, we're just going to use Shade Smooth. But you might notice that looking at this, especially if you go side on, that you've got this sort of jagged shape around here, right? So the silhouette is really breaking that illusion that this is a high poly or a smooth looking donut. But thankfully, rather than adding all of that complex density into the mesh itself and then making it hard to remove later on, there is another way through modifiers. So if we go over here to our properties, right, this very confusing, lots of option looking properties, click on the wrench, and this is the section called modifiers. And this is one of those object dependent things. So if you've got your camera selected, you won't see it. So it's only when you've got actual meshes that you might see this modifier here. So it's much easier to explain if we just add one. So up here, add modifier, and you got a range of options here that can do a whole number of things. The one that we're looking for is underneath generate, and it is called subdivision surface.
Introducing Locify.ai, a developer platform that leverages design-to-code AI to accelerate front-end development, converting Figma or Adobe XD designs into high-quality production-ready code. Try Locify.ai.
And it is a really common modifier that you use all the time. In fact, it's so common, it's actually, you can just immediately add it to any object just by hitting Control 1. But don't do that because we've already got it, so there. Now, some of you might have just discovered that your donut has disappeared. If that is the case, you need to go to Edit, Preferences, and then underneath Viewport, where it's got Subdivision at the very bottom, Disable GPU Subdivision. That will then make the subdivision perform on your CPU instead of your GPU, which is maybe non-existent or not performing whatever. But disable that and it should appear. But if it's already working for you, don't disable it. Keep it going because GPU will be faster. So what exactly is this doing? Well, it's a lot easier to explain if we look at the shade flat mode, because we're not being tricked by the smooth shading there. If I set this levels viewport to 0, this is our original mesh. This is before we add the subsurface, essentially. When we increase this, you can see that it is adding resolution to our mesh. And the more I increase this viewport levels here, the finer and finer that detail becomes. So to explain it, because this is such a very, very common modifier, it's kind of important to understand how it's working. You can see that this is these squares here, these are called faces, by the way. And for each one of these faces here, as I add a level, you can see it's becoming 4 faces, right? And then now if I zoomed in on this one face here, if I do another level, that's now become 4 faces. And then if I zoom in again, it's now become 4 faces. So it's exponentially adding detail. And you might also know that it is smoothing it out as well. Like this jagged edge that we've got here, you can see now becomes smoother. So to quickly visualize that, if I just draw it, like imagine you've got like a 90-degree corner, right? Like this. If you add a subsurf modifier, what it's going to do is it's going to add a point here, right? Because this is the extra detail. It's also going to take that point there and it's going to average it out. It's going to average it out between these points. And it's going to create another one there and another one there. So you go then from having that really hard corner there to having something that looks a lot smoother. So it's going to take a point and it's also going to change it to make it look smoother, generally speaking. So there we go. So now as I increase this, you can see it's getting smoother and smoother. Now, the reason there are 2 options here, you've got levels viewport and levels render. So reminder, this gray area that we operate in is called our viewport. The render is the pretty version. So as an example, you could see if I just turned it off for the viewport, it looks very jagged. But then for my render, if I increase that to 3, if I do my render, which you could go up there, and render image, or remember the hotkey F12, you can see that that donut is now smooth, but I go back and you can see it's jagged. So the viewport, you want to generally keep it lightweight, and then the render time, that's where you want to get a really nice looking pretty image. So you want to often have 2 different levels. In our case though, I don't really think we need to go beyond 1, even for our final pretty image, because this with shade smoothing turned on is good enough. And we're going to be adding more to the scene later on, so we don't want to make it too complex. So this is actually pretty good. Okay, so we have a perfect donut, and that's the problem. It's too perfect. You could spend decades trying to develop a machine in the real world that made a donut this perfect, and you never would. This is so mathematically precise that the eye will always see this as looking fake. So that's actually a problem you learn pretty quickly in 3D, that things that are too perfect just look fake. So you have to spend time making things look misshapen and adding variation there like you see in the real world because your eye expects to see it. So how do we do that? How do we make this donut look a little more lumpy and interesting? I do that by changing the mesh itself. So this mode that we are in right now, where we can click on different objects, is called object mode. And I know that because in the top left-hand corner, you can see we are in object mode. But if I click the drop down, you can see I get a number of other options here. And these options, again, will change depending on the object you've got selected. If I've got a lamp, my little light there selected, you can see I've only got object mode. My camera, I've only got object mode. But a mesh will give you extra options here. So let's enter into edit mode. Ooh. Right, now you can see our mesh, our object has become something that looks weird. It's got a bunch of little points on it with lines and very technical. Well, That's because this is actually what the mesh is made up of. These little points here, which you can click on just by selecting, are called your vertices. The singular term is called vertex. I never say that. I like to just call all of them vertices, regardless of whether it's one or two, just because you always get some comments that go, actually, it's called vertex if it is singular. Anyway, so these are called your vertices, and if you have two of them joined by a line, that is called an edge, and if you have four of them forming a face, then it's called a face. So with these, I can quickly change the shape of my object by using the same hotkeys as before, and if I want to move this, then I would simply tap G, right? And you can see it's now attached to my cursor, and then if I want to confirm its movement, I just do a single left click, and there it is. Now if I go back into object mode, like that, you can see that my mesh has changed, okay? And by the way, the hotkey for jumping in and out of object and edit mode is just tab, okay? So you can see it's just toggling between those two modes because it's so common that you want to just quickly change things that it's just easily accessible by that. Now, this is okay, right? But you can see it's like, it's got like some artifacting. It's like, it's not the greatest lump, right? So how do we make it look a little more natural? Well, I mean, you could, you move one, drag it out, okay, click, and then I move, the next one next to it, right? I'll move that out, and then I'll move this one out a little bit, and then I move this one, and it's like, okay, well now I've got the thing, but it took me like 5 actions. Ridiculous, right? No one wants to do that. No one's got time for that. Thankfully, there is a tool in Blender just for this, and it's called proportional editing, and you can enable it up there in your toolbar. So if you enable that, now if I hit G and I move it out, you will see I get a little ring around my cursor there, and that is now changing the mesh around it. Now, a lot of people in my previous tutorials were like, I don't see what's going on. You have to have something selected first, and then when you hit G, you will see that little circle of influence. Okay, now this circle of influence, if I scroll up, you can see it's shrinking its circle of influence. And if I scroll down, it is expanding its influence. So it's only going to affect what is in that ring there, okay? If you are on, if you don't have a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can also change the influence by using page up and page down. And if you don't have page up or page down because you're on a Mac keyboard, then what you would have to do is go to key map and then change your page up and page down to something else just so that you could get around that. But guys, you got to get a mouse. Get a mouse with a scroll wheel. I think they're, 50 cents or just in the nearest landfill somewhere. Get a mouse because it's going to make your life in 3D a lot easier. Okay, so with this, I can now make quick work of lumpy shapes, okay? So I just drag that out. Okay, I've got a little lumpy shape there. Maybe I go down here and I pull this up just by hitting G, moving it up. Okay, so already this is looking a little more natural, right? Because even if we were making a stylized world for a Pixar movie or something like that, you can't have just a spherical looking donut, round looking circular donut, because it just, your eye will see it as fake. So very quickly, I'm able to add a little bit of variation to the donut, just all around it, just a little bit over here. And you can see that I am just changing my circle of influence depending on what size of a lump I want to make. So I just want to make like a little bit that sticks out. I can make a small circle just by scrolling up like that. And you just want to do that until you get something that looks a little more natural. I might want to make the inner part as well. Maybe just drag that in with a smaller circle. And that's pretty good. Let's just have a look from the top. I might actually just drag that out, make it a little bit more like that. But there you go. That's pretty good for a donut. It's still kind of simple. It's not too detailed, but it's got just enough variation in it that it's more interesting to look at.
Listen up, it's time. Let's एक साथ celebrate large. वर्ल्ड अपना कैनवस, हर सिटी अपना प्लेग्राउंड, with generation large. हमारा हर celebration large. Royal Stag packaged drinking water. It's our life. We live it large.
Oh, one more thing, forgot to mention. Go back into edit mode with tab. Donuts, when they're sitting in the little vat thing, right, they're only like half submerged, so then they have to be flipped. But it means that the bit that's nearest to the surface is getting less heat. So essentially what I'm saying is the bit that's around the donut, the circumference of it is usually a little bit flatter. So donuts aren't like perfectly round all the way around. They're usually a little bit flatter. So what I want to do is I want to select these vertices along here, and then I want to shrink them. Now I could go around one by one like this, which is actually what I used to do when I was learning Blender pre-YouTube days, and there was no tutorials. I would do this if I wanted to select this. Silly, because there's a function, a tool for that, and it is edge select. So if you hold down Alt on your keyboard and then do a single left click on not the points, but on the edge, right, this little line here, you can see it's selected all the way around. So it's anything that's connected along that line is now selected. So if I want to shrink this, right, what would I do? Well, I mean, yeah, you could like move it around, right? We want to shrink it. We want to change the scale of it. So we would use the hotkey S for scale. So S, and I'm going to scale that in. And I actually don't want proportional editing. So I'm going to turn that off and now scale in and just make it a little bit flatter. And there you go. See, it just feels a little bit more natural, doesn't it? It looks a little bit closer to what a donut looks like. And by the way, don't worry if yours doesn't look exactly like this, like your lump is a little bit off. Like some people get a little bit too precious with the tutorial. Like I got to match exactly everything I do. Like I'm just working on the fly as well. So just make what you think looks good. Maybe you think this is not misshapen enough and you want to add more, go for it, because it might actually turn out better than what mine is. Now, before we move to the next part, how to save. How to save. Blender, very, very easy. You just go save as, and you just get one file. It's called .blend. Very literal file extension. Really pushing the limits of what a file extension can be. That's almost a word, Blender. Anyway, .blend, and that's it. And then next time you open it up, it's exactly like it. It's not like ZBrush where you got like 4 or 5 different ways to save a project or an object or a tool or a... Hate ZBrush. Okay. That's how you save. Now, also, finally, I would say, if you need help, because I know if you're stuck and then you leave a YouTube comment, you might not get a reply. If you want immediate help, I've got a Discord. So I'll put the link below. So there's like a little channel in there where you can just ask for specific donut help. So if you're having issues, feel free to jump into that. And also, guys, don't beat yourself up. Like 3D is definitely has like a steep-ish learning curve. So you're in that steep slope right now. And it's really common. Like a lot of this stuff is very foreign. 3D is very unique. It's very different to a lot of 2D tools. But don't give up. Like it's definitely achievable to learn and self-learn at home. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to pay for a tutor. It's really easy to get help online nowadays. So do make use of that Discord. Post comments as well in the YouTube comments if you want to. But I hope you stay with it. So if you're ready to jump to the next part after you've saved your blend file, go ahead, click here, and I will see you there.
विंटर्स में हेल्दी लुकिंग स्किन के लिए आई ट्रस्ट ओनली निविया बॉडी मिल्क, जिसका यूनिक डीप मॉइस्चर सीरम दे 48 आवर लॉन्ग लास्टिंग मॉइस्चराइजेशन. निविया बॉडी मिल्क 5 in 1, now at ₹85 only.
Did you guys know that Blender 4.0 had a change that makes it more realistic by default? Or that there's a new technology that is going to expand the uses for 3D exponentially? Well, you would if you were on my free newsletter called This Week in 3D. It's an email from me once a week with 3 to 5 things that I found interesting that week from the world of 3D. So sometimes I share a new tool that I found, a remarkable tutorial, a new Blender feature, a news story that affects the industry. So click the link in the description, enter your email address, and then you will stay up to date on the world of 3D. It's always free and it's always written by me. Now, on to the tutorial. Welcome back to the Donut Show, where we make sad little donuts that we cannot eat. This is where we finished up at the end of part 1. We've got our nice looking donut, and now we're going to make that icing, which looks complex but is actually fairly simple. Now, as I mentioned before, if you want to add an object, you go Shift A, right? And then you start with something that resembles what you're trying to create. But we already have something that resembles the exact shape we want to create. It's the donut, because we want the icing around the donut. So let's just reuse this information. So we can do that by duplicating the object. And if you don't know the hotkey for it, you could just go Object, and then you'd find it here where it says Shift D. So Shift D. Now, when you hit that, you are in a placement state, essentially. Like it's duplicated and it's now saying, where do you want to place it? Now, in our case, and actually often, you don't actually want to change its placement. You want to duplicate it exactly where it was. So you can cancel the movement by hitting Escape or right-clicking. Now, when you do that, it looks like it's canceled the duplication, but you can see in your outliner, it has duplicated it. You've got 2 objects, but it's just in the exact same place, which is what we want. So first things first, we need to name them, or else we could get very confused very easily. So you can name an object by just double-clicking it in the outliner and then just typing in the object. The other way you can name something, I'll just show you the second way. If you select the Taurus 0.001, that's your icing object. If you're in the 3D view, where your cursor, is over the 3D viewport, if you hit F2, that's another very quick way that you can name something without having to go up to the outliner to find your object. So with our icing object selected, let's go into edit mode by hitting Tab. So we want the icing on the top, which means this bottom half of our mesh here is redundant. Don't need it. So we want to delete it. So if we just dragged over the bottom here, you can see it looks like we've selected the bottom half of our donut, but if you were to move around, you would see, oh, we haven't actually. It's only selected, annoyingly, what is facing the camera. Where there's a mesh, it's not gone through the mesh. A lot of users find this annoying. I agree. Sometimes it seems like that would be the more default one that would make more sense, but anyway, don't want to argue. So if you want to select through a mesh, you can go up to here in your top navigation, toggle X-ray. If you turn that on, it's going to enable you to see through the mesh. And now, when I drag over it, you can see that I have selected all through the mesh as I move around it. By the way, you might find it like when you're in this state, it's kind of hard to select. Like it's easy to kind of accidentally select what is above it, and depending on what you've got at your end, that might have happened already. So another way to easily just look directly on the side-on of your donut is to just click one of these, like in your gizmo here, instead of just dragging around, just do a single click on either the green one or the red one, the X or the Y. And now we're in that state. You can see it's flattened it, so it's put you in orthographic mode, which actually you can toggle to at any time, just over there, which just makes it easier to just do a single, all the way through the mesh, select. All right, okay. All right, so we want to delete that. So just hit the delete key. You get an extra option here of what do you want to delete, edges, faces. You want the vertices, that's everything. And now we have, if we go back to object mode, and then let's turn off toggle X-ray as well. And you can see it's working. We got half the donut on top of itself, but as you move around, you can see you get some flickering. Now, this flickering happens, and it's actually a very common, it's actually a good warning sign to you as an artist, because it means you've got faces on top of faces, and the 3D software doesn't know which face it wants to render, right? So it's like sometimes saying it's the front face, no, the back face, the front face, and there's no understanding. Sometimes you can actually spot it in TV shows and like VFX or like low budget stuff. You can see something flickering in the background, and I'm like, ooh, there it is, Z fighting. That's what it's called, Z fighting, or Z fighting if you're not American. So what we want to do is we want to give thickness to our icing. So we can do that with a solidify modifier. So adding another modifier, make sure you've got your icing selected, not your donut. And then here where you've got add modifier, we're going to go generate solidify. Okay. Now it's made it worse. It's actually added a thickness to our mesh there, but it's actually done it the wrong way. So it's with the normals. Yeah, what is it? It's trying to put the extra bit inside the donut. So we can change that by just changing the offset here in the solidifier settings. Just drag that all the way
to 1. Some of you might have actually found that it was correct before, just depending on which way your normals were. If that's the case, keep it at -1, but everyone else, keep it at 1. We just want to make sure it's actually outside. Okay. Let's just increase the thickness a little bit too. Let's go, 0.025. That looks pretty good. And great. We've got what looks like a yarmulke on our donut, a perfectly straight edge little hat for our donut. So let's make this look more like icing so that the edge is wavy all the way around. So to do this is where we get into the fancy, finger magic, because you're typing lots of keys. Anyway, go into edit mode and we can see straight away that we can't see the mesh, and that's because the solidify modifier is obstructing our view. So these little boxes here, as I mentioned before, like this is to hide it from viewport, but if you want to just hide it from your edit mode, which is the state that we are in right now, the box next to it is the one that you uncheck, which means in object mode, when you're tabbed in object mode, you can still see it, but edit mode, it's it's temporarily hidden for you. So if I was to select one of these points here and move it down, you can see that it's working, but it would be, again, a lot of effort to go round and round and do these one by one. So we want to use that old familiar proportional fall-off tool again. So proportional editing on, and now as I move it down, let's just lower the slider way down here, and then let's pull this down. Okay, now we'll find issues. If we move to the side here, we can see the first issue we've discovered is that this is separating from our mesh here. And that's not what icing does. When it dribbles down, it follows the shape of the donut all the way down. So what we want to do is snap, undo it a number of times, snap the vertices to our donut underneath it, right? So for that, we need to turn on snapping up here. Okay, now there are a number of ways to snap in Blender. The default way is increment, which just means the like the grid floor there. Like if you were to just like move it around, you can see it's just snapping to the grid floor. Not helpful. But we want to snap it to the face. And now with face snapping enabled, if we move this down, we can see, let's just look here, that the bottom bit is snapping to the face, but as you might have seen, the top bits, the rest of essentially what is inside of our circle of influence with this proportional editing, that's not being affected. Only the little point that we had selected was affected. So that's not what we want either. Normally that would be enough, but in this particular case, we want to also snap individual elements too. And let's go face project. Now, when we pull this down, you should see that these are also no longer clipping through the donut. But still, we have issues. Why is that? Well, it is actually working correctly. We can see these are not going through the mesh. So why does it look like it is? The reason for that is that there's actually just not enough information here. So if we go side on, you can see, right, like we've got this point here, and then we've got another point down here, and then we've got this long stretch in between, right? So that means that this part of the donut, oh gosh, that goes that goes around like that is just not, there's nothing to snap it to, essentially. So what we need to do to fix this is just add more geometry. So these little vertices here, we need more of those vertices. So we can do that by actually using the subdivision surface modifier. Because although it is a modifier, you can apply the modifier. And the modifier currently is adding geometry, so let's just apply it. So to apply it, we just click this little drop down here next to the modifier and then go apply. Now, if we, nothing should have changed from this view because the same information is being displayed. But in edit mode, you should now see exponentially more faces, because here, where there was one face before, you can see there's now a lot more, right? 4x, okay, 4x. Okay, so now if we pull down, we should see it is snapping. And if we go into this mode, you can see that it's now conforming to the mesh in a much more snug way, because there's information there for it to use. Now this shading artifact here that we can see, this don't worry about that, we'll fix that in just a moment. But I need to show, because I've shown you like 4 things that we need to enable for this to work, I got to show you one more, because if I pull down,